Hello friends, today we're going to dive into the topic of how to motivate a sales team without money. Now, we've all seen great teams fall into slumps, and sales teams are no different. But what makes the difference between those that stay in a slump versus those that are able to climb out of that slump and really reach new levels of high performance? For most, they use money to try and incentivize that motivation to get them out of a slump or to motivate them. But ironically, there are situations where that can actually make it worse. Being able to motivate a sales team without money takes skill and careful thought, and today I want to show you how. Motivation is such an interesting concept. We all know what it means, but each group and each person is motivated so differently that it's very hard to have a cookie cutter template that solves everything. Money in general is a great motivator, but there are times where it loses its savor and other ways of motivation actually become greater. So today I really want to dive in how you can motivate your sales team without money by first understanding what motivates a sales team and how motivation works. Second, I want to explain to you about how other methods can motivate when you don't need money. And third, talk about actual strategies that I've used that incentivize sales teams and motivate them that require no money at all. If you're ready, let's go. So what does motivate a sales individual? In order to answer that question, we've got to understand a sales mindset. And it's really interesting. I've actually trained and managed multiple sales organizations and 3 really large organizations, and to see that each group was different in what motivated them. Some are motivated by the carrot or the stick. So what does that mean? The carrot is that reward that's kind of dangled out there. The stick is kind of the swat on the backside that, hey, if you aren't doing it, that's to motivate you to get going, right? So some are motivated differently. So this first group that I managed, they were so motivated by the incentives, the culture, the camaraderie, the unity of a team. It was really fun to be a part of it. The second group, they were more motivated by the stick almost, like, hey, listen, if we don't perform at the levels I know we can, we might not be able to get the best leads that we're hoping for, right? We might not be able to get those people that are giving us leads to get the same amount every single week. That motivated them. And the final group, they were more motivated by stability, right? How can I know that what I'm doing is going to be here for the long haul? So each group was really different, and it taught me a lot about motivation. So now that we've talked about what can potentially motivate a sales team, let's talk about what we shouldn't do. So let's talk about that for a second, because sometimes the things that you don't do might be more important than the things that you actually do, right? So think about it. If you do something and you do it the wrong way, it could have devastating effects, right? I think when it comes to sales organizations, the days of hellfire and brimstone, yelling them, cussing them out, making public displays are out the door, right? You might remember some of those old movies, Glengarry, Glen Ross, The Boiler Room, where somebody stands up and berates somebody. Does that still happen? I'm sure it does. But is it an effective way to motivate? Probably not, right? Today's generation, today's workforce is probably not going to respond to that type of management or that type of potential motivation, right? They don't find it motivating at all. I remember one time, and this is years ago, but it stuck out in my mind of something I definitely never wanted to do. I remember a sales manager that we were visiting, my partner and I, as potentially helping us with some leads. And as we were talking to him in the back room, we we're going to go meet with the sales team to do a little bit of training on the leads. I remember him saying to me, he's like, you know what? I'm going to run out there, we're going to talk, but I'm going to fire somebody on the spot, right? I just got to keep these guys fresh. And I thought, really? That works? So that's what he's going to do? Sure enough, we went out there and he's like, listen, you and I got to talk afterwards. Your performance has been crappy. You might not be here after this meeting's done. And I remember thinking, how embarrassing was it for that individual, for the people that were remaining? Would they think that they were left? How secure were their jobs? That just stuck out in my mind of something I never, ever wanted to do within my organization. So the next way I think to help motivate somebody without using money is to help them create a vision for what they desire, what they want. Visualization can be so powerful. I just came from an event for the last 2 days where they talked a lot about visualization and how visualization can help us tap into our subconscious, right? Our subconscious knows what we can do, but tapping into that sometimes is very difficult. So visualizing and writing that down can be something that is extremely powerful to help us get to the levels that we want. So when creating a vision for them, I think there's 2 ways to do it, right? Both as individually and as a group, right? And if you can paint that visual imagery of this is where you are right now, this is where you want to get to as an individual and as a team, all of a sudden they start acting as if they were already there, having visualized it first. Nothing can happen in real life unless it's been visualized before, right? That's why imagination is so important. I think it was Albert Einstein that said, imagination is more important than traditional thinking. And when you're doing this visual imagery, I think a big part, an important part of that is helping them go back to their why, right? Everybody does something for a reason. This sales team is doing it for a reason. This individual is doing it for a reason. And if you can tie it back to their why do they do what they do? Why are they in sales? Why do they want to make money? Why do they want to perform at a high level? Same thing with the team. If you can tie it back to their why, that can be so many times more powerful than any incentive you can throw out there. Because inherently, that's what the individual or the team will go back to. The reason I show up every single day is because of this. Now, there might be some financial elements to it, but tying it back to their why is going to be stronger and have more of an impact than saying, hey, if you get this sale today, I'll give you X amount of dollars. Now, as far as a team and motivating them, I think one of the most important things that you can do to motivate them without money is tying them to an organizational cause, right? Every organization exists for a purpose. And if that purpose can be a cause, that's powerful. Think about it. The things that you've got behind in your life or organizations you've been a part of, they've had a cause behind them. And if you can find a cause within your organization to tie those teams to individuals to, it's phenomenal. So the mantra at our organization is we help people reach their potential. Now think about it. If you were to show up every day at work and your whole purpose was to help individuals realize their potential, it's kind of hard to be sad, upset, grumpy. I mean, think what type of energy is produced when you're thinking about how can I help this individual realize their full potential, whether you're on the sales side of it, the fulfillment side of it, or management side of it, customer service side. And when you preach that, when you talk about that, that type of cause is very powerful, and it's organizationally powerful because everybody buys into it. And that type of energy is extremely powerful. Another thing I believe works really well when motivating a sales team is focusing on the activity that leads towards sales. Now, there can be small financial incentives here, but it might even be recognition. So think about it. In my business, the activities that lead towards sales is phone time and dials and prospecting or appointment set or conversations. And I know that each industry is different, but everybody should know those basic metrics that when done lead towards sales, right? If you're a real estate agent, you know that X amount of calls, X amount of conversations are going to lead towards sales. And if you focus on these activities that we know leads towards sales and they're hitting these metrics and you're recognizing them, we know that sales will eventually come. Plus, it gives little wins to the individuals rather than saying, hey, you need to hit a sale, and say a sale doesn't come. All of a sudden, they're down a little bit. Doesn't come the next day. They're even more down. Doesn't come the next way. All of a sudden, they start sounding and talking like they haven't got any sales. The confidence goes down. The people hear that on the other end of the phone or the people that they're talking to. So giving little wins on activity can give them some confidence and give them little wins that will eventually lead to big wins. Finally, one of the last things that I like to do to help motivate a sales team without money is help build confidence in them. People love to be recognized. People love it when somebody else believes in them. And I think that's key. When you're in an organization and the leader of that organization, your manager, your boss, if they believe in you and they tell you that, that can give you confidence and motivation, right? Sometimes, think about it, those of you that have kids, if you tell them you believe in them and you want the best for them, that might give them the motivation to perform well at something, right? Like, mom or dad really believe in me. Same thing in a sales organization. Giving them that belief can really help them. I remember one time we just had an awful sales week, right? Our whole sales organization had one of the worst weeks ever, right? What I wanted to do is show up the next week and really let them have it. It's like, what are we doing? We are better than this. How the crap did we just lay an egg this week when we've been performing other weeks, right? We just can't do this as an organization. But rather than doing that, I took a step back, I thought for a minute, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to share with them a pretty powerful video of a well-known thought leader that I really like, and his whole premise is confidence in them, believing in them. And I showed this video, it was about 7-8 minutes long. And it was interesting to watch people's faces because it wasn't what they expected, right? They maybe expected, and I'm not the type of person who comes down on somebody really hard, but them knowing I was disappointed would probably make them feel bad. And so I showed this video and you could see that it gave them a little inspiration, a little bit of hope. And I told them, guys, I know what you can do. I believe in you. I have all the confidence in the world. You more than anybody want to perform. So me coming down on you, what's that going to do? You want to perform just as bad as I want you to perform. But that type of belief and confidence instilled, and we had one of the best weeks we'd had in a long time that week. And so it was a good lesson for me is to take a step back and say, how can I build confidence in this team? Because me building confidence in individuals and teams is going to motivate them to perform at a high level, and it didn't require any money. As always, I've got a free gift for you here. It's aaronsSalesTraining.com. It's 20 courses of sales and persuasion put into one big course, and it has all the best stuff that we've taught when it comes to sales. It's really powerful. It can benefit you and your team, and it's my free gift for you below, aaronsSalesTraining.com. As always, thanks for stopping by, watching the video. Have an awesome day.